And then, depending on how we were parented and what happened in school years, quit asking so much. I'm tired of hearing from you. Sit down. Don't ask unless you're called on. And then you go to work and you have jobs and, your opinion's not valued. And suddenly, instead of being this like unafraid, unashamed little asker that you were when you came into this world, you're now a full grown adult, kind of ashamed to not have all the answers. You don't want to let anyone know that, and afraid to ask for anything. And it's very sad because it happens to almost everybody in a way.
2, 1, 0.
Hello and welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. This is Orion. Thank you so much for being here. Today, I'm going to ask you a question. Are you aware of your questions? Do you know the power of your questions? I didn't until I learned that the question that used to run my life was, how can I not get hurt? How can I protect myself, basically? It was many years ago. I was just breaking up with somebody who was very abusive to me, physically, mentally. And I was just on my way to recover. And so I became very, very guarded. And I would go into every freaking relationship with this question: how can I protect myself? And when you are, or how can I not get hurt? And when you go into any relationship with this question and with this shield on, you see everything blurry and you can't really develop real connection because you're always on the defense. And I was wondering why I cannot go into a very good relationship, because I wasn't ready, and the question that ran my life was not one that was serving me at the time. Yeah, it served me when I needed it, but it was time to change it. I did learn to protect myself. I did get strong. And that question had no more place in my life. So I changed it from how can I not get hurt to how can I trust more? And trust is something that I still am working on. Trusting myself, trusting that I am connected to God, trusting that I'm in the right place and in the right time and in the right flow. The whole idea of trust it's a big deal for me, and I've done a long journey around it, and I have attracted the man of my dream, and I'm very blessed. And there is still more, like this question, how can I trust more, is still relevant on a different level to my life today. And I wonder, what is your question? What is a question that is running your life today, and is it helping you? And when I say how can I trust more, it doesn't mean I have to be gullible, but it's trust on many levels, and especially trust that I am guided, protected, and loved, and trusting in my abilities to share my heart with the world. It's not easy sometimes to expose myself and be here on podcasts and on YouTube and share myself, and sometimes share some intimate stories and hope that nobody will criticize me, which, I can't control what other people think. But the whole idea of trust and that question is so powerful for me. And if you feel like this question is powerful for you, so please borrow it. And maybe you can trust yourself more, your loved ones more, and your abilities and your connection with Source more. Because when we are in that alignment, life is easier, because we don't feel like we're walking this road alone, and there is some force that is guiding us. My guests today are Crystal and Mark Victor Hansen, and they are a power couple. They are internationally thought after motivational speakers, serial entrepreneurs, consultants, and authors. Together, they wrote the book Ask: The Bridge from Your Dream to Your Destiny. Mark is best known as the founder and co-creator of the Chicken Soup for the Soul book series, And Crystal has helped transform many lives, guiding people through depression, anxiety, and hopelessness. In this episode, we discussed why is it powerful to ask and how simple it can be when you know which answer you're looking for. And now, without further ado, on to the show. Hello, Crystal and Mark. Welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
It's our great pleasure. Thank you for
great
having
to
us.
be with you, Orion.
Yeah, I'm psyched. This is amazing. Wow, like you guys are awesome, and it's such a privilege to have you on the show. And let's start by asking, how did you meet?
How did we meet? Is it the question?
Yes.
That's a wonderful question.
Yes, that's a question.
I was doing a great seminar called Author 101 in California. Her mother saw the ad and said, "You've got to go." And by the way, there's Mark Victor Hansen, and she will add to that.
Well, no, that's right. She said, you got to go to this Author 101. I was in the middle of writing a book, my first book, and she said, she got an email, said, you need to go to this event. She's like, publishers and publicists will be there, and Mark Victor Hansen will be there. I'm like, oh, wow. So I went, and at the VIP reception, I wasn't even drinking. I'm just going to, talk about my business. I'm all business, no drinking, I'm not here to party. And ironically, a woman knocked a glass of red wine all over my white pants, and Mark must have been looking my way. He came to my side and said, I think I know where the club soda is. He was over in that corner of the room surrounded by this entourage of people. And he said, grabbed my hand and led me to the kitchen on the property, because he'd had a lot of events at this. It was a big hotel, sort of an event hotel. And we started talking and just never stopped talking.
Wow,
so we went,
amazing.
if I may add just one thing, we went to, I asked her out to dinner. She, after calling her mother and saying, "Oh, I'm going out with Mark," she said, "I knew it." Anyhow, we get to this great Hollywood hotel, because I said, we can't stay on the property because there's 1,000 people here who want to talk to me for 2 minutes, and there's no such thing as 2 minutes, and then there's a crowd again. So we got to go off property. So we go to this great hotel, a restaurant, and there's at 9:30 on a Saturday night, and there's, oh my goodness, there's like 50 people. The $100 bill will not get you in at this time. So I said, let's do this. And we just walk up, and the gatekeeper sees her radiant, spectacular, stunning beauty and says, "Okay, I give up. Who is she?" And because we wrote the book, Ask, I teach that you got to always ask. I said, "You don't recognize her?" And now his mind's on steroids, going through People Magazine and InStyle and Vanity Fair, and he can't figure it out. And he says, "Okay, I give up. Who is she?" We're both of Danish descent. I said, "Well, she's a queen of Denmark." He said, "She is not." And all of a sudden he went, "Oh my God, she is."
Queen of Denmark.
"Who are you?" I said, "Well, who travels with the queen?" He said, "You're the king. Hold on, I got a table waiting in back with me." I'm sorry for all the other people, and he didn't get a tip, but it was great fun for us. And I know it was teasing, and once we were there, it was a little, we couldn't pull it back. It was out, and it was just, it was meant to be, because we were meant to fall indefatigably in love, because I'd written down 267 things I needed in my ideal wife. We had the same values. She had to want to travel. If we both had kids, she had to our kids had to get along. All that was true. And it has been spectacular.
Wow. Crystal, were you even looking for love?
I actually decided, because I got divorced, and I was like, I was not there looking, not at all. I was like, I need a little time to myself. Some guys had kind of started coming my way, and because right after my divorce, and I'm like, I'm just not ready. I had the whole summer planned with my kids. We were doing a bunch of traveling. And even when I met Mark, he said, we had that dinner that night, and he's like, well, are you, we established, I'm recently divorced. He'd been divorced for 3 years. He's like, so are you free to date? And I was like, I'm just not ready yet. I've got the summer planned with my kids. And I'm like, they were in dance competitions and stuff like that at the time. And I was like, I can't bring someone into their life. It's just too soon. But, maybe by the time they go back to school, we can talk about, going on an official date. And so he was really patient. We just kind of struck a friendship. And it was a really amazing way to get to know each other, to be honest with you, because I we would sit outside at night, and I would, the kids would go to bed, and I'd go out and I'd lie on the trampoline looking at the stars and talk to him. And we got to know each other in a really sort of friendship kind of way. And it was really great because there was no pressure, for anything. It was just getting to know each other. So by the end of the summer, we felt like we kind of knew each other, and it was a good time to date.
Oh,
To start
that's
dating.
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many times did you have to ask Mark?
How many times did I have to ask her to get married? I
Yeah.
asked every day because I loved hearing her say yes, and it was so cool that
We have a song
that we
about
had
it.
a great friend who's a singer and a seminarist, Matt Ferry, and Matt wrote us the song
Say Yes Again.
"Say
It's called
Yes Again" because I
Yeah.
love hearing her say yes. So I
Yeah.
asked her. She never said no, thank God.
So he kept asking me if I'd marry him, and so that Matt interviewed us for the song because that was his gift to us for our marriage. He said, I'd like to write you guys a song. So he interviewed us, and he's like, so how did Mark ask you to marry him? I'm like, well, he's asked me so many times. He's like, really? Why does he keep asking? And I go, I don't know, because I always say yes again. And he thought that was so great that he wrote a song called Say Yes Again.
And he put it up at YouTube, and a lot of people
Yeah.
listened to it, and so we're very touched.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. Maybe you guys can share a little bit about, your backgrounds and your passion, and at what point in your life and your career did you guys meet? And how did this, like the way where you were in your life, how did that enhance the connection?
Yeah, no, that's really good. I mean, because I do think sometimes, the relationships, the best relationships work out when the timing's right. And for us, Mark had been married 27 years. I had been married 20 years. And
Wow.
so, and it's not like we didn't have some success in our marriages. It's just, that it's like we weren't still growing together. And so, I had started my life coaching practice. I had transitioned my career from like being in real estate to going fully into life coaching. I was a certified clinical hypnotherapist. I was really focused on helping people and like transformation. I was a transformational life coach, and my clients were having amazing transformations. Like literally people who'd been depressed their entire lives were coming, and in 4 or 5 sessions, they'd be completely free of depression or anxiety and stuff like that. And it was just so amazing to me to be able to help people through these amazing transitions, starting over, after divorce, after they had a death of a spouse or something. And I was loving the work. I started writing about it. And that's when I went to that book fair, because my mom said, this book is, you have to meet some publishers and publicists. So you've got to go to this.
But your mom is so happy right now.
Yeah. Oh, she is. He sends her flowers on our anniversary. Really.
Oh my goodness, Mark, that's
I'll just do one.
Yeah.
I'll do a
Wow.
cute aside. We picked up my older brother one time, and I'd gone to Costco right before picking him up at the airport. And he's very successful, but he sees flowers in the back seat, and he says, okay, what'd you do? And I said, what did I do? What? And he said, what, are you in trouble with Crystal? I says, I'm never in trouble with Crystal. He said, why have you got flowers? And I said, because I always bring her flowers, because she deserves them. I mean, if you came in our house right now, there's a lot of flowers, because we had a big event here a couple of days ago. And when, we have a big house in Scottsdale, Arizona, and we do events, and we're part of Horatio Alger Award. We were recipients, and we're doing something brand new for them, and we bought flowers and put them all over the house. So she deserves them. Every wife deserves them, deserves them more than they get them. I'm sure of that.
Yeah.
Well, so you got to tell her about your basically chicken soup.
Yeah, I was about to ask. So, like, where were you in your life, and at that moment in time where you met this incredible woman and fell in love, like, and how where you were in your career and her and where she was, how did that work together?
Okay, we'll go backwards and do the chicken soup, which is enormously successful. Nobody else sold 500 million books other than me, and I've written 318 books with numerous great, phenomenal co-authors, and now I'm co-authoring with my beloved soulmate, this Ask, the bridge from your dreams, your destiny, because we think everyone's coded at birth with a destiny. Our destiny, I believe, in answer to your question at a bigger level even, is that we were destined to get together. We were destined. I thought if you had two come together and they were soulmates, that'd be way cool. That's what I'd written down, right? But the truth is, if you put two flames together, it jumps exponentially eightfold. And so we're actually twin flames. We can finish each other's thoughts and all that kind of stuff. Because, what happens is most people have never gone for their highest and best relationship. I mean, when you're 16 or 17 years old, you say, I want him tall, dark, and handsome, and I want her to be a hot babe, and I want eye candy. Well, that's nice, but you want bigger values than that, and that's why divorce is way over 50%, and why we're being asked now to say, how do you attract your ideal mate? And what I said to you is that the 4 principles I've taught my whole life is, number one, you got to figure out what you want, and very few people can answer that. What do you really, really want? And it's got to be exact, it's got to be specific, it's got to be in writing, and that's number 2, is you got to put it in writing, and then number 3, you got to visualize it to realize it. Number 4, you got to have a team, and that means together everyone accomplishes miracles, and we're accomplishing miracles, and we are force multipliers for each other. Yeah. And that's the real goal in marriage and relationship. How do you? I just want him to bring home the bread. No. That's nice, but today a woman can make as much money as a man, so that's not even interesting, right? Yeah. So let's say, what are the higher values of relationship? How do you get to go through all of Maslow's hierarchy to truth and beauty, or our hierarchy, where you start with self-awareness, go to self-expression, so you're doing what you can do, being all you can be, doing all you can do, having all you have, seeing all you can see. Go to self-mastery, and then go to self-realization when you're in tune with the infinite and you know what the infinite wants you to do. What you're passionately purpose about is in alignment with God. And for us, that's writing books, communicating, now doing a film on the first story in here, which I got to give full credit to my beloved Mrs. Hansen, because she wrote this thing called The Fable of Michaela, and now the people in Hollywood are saying, oh my gosh, that has to be a movie big as Henry Potter, and we go, oh, that'd be way cool. and we don't do anything we can't sequel and prequel, because our books change lives. Otherwise, I wouldn't have sold 500 million books literally around the world and been to 80 countries together and talked to 7 million people live. So it's been miraculous, but that's what happens when you're in tune with the infinite. The infinite gets in tune with you, and miraculous stuff happens. And what Einstein said is either everything's a miracle or nothing's a miracle.
Yeah. Crystal, how was it for you to step into the role of a wife of somebody so big and well known? Was it intimidating? Was it smooth? What was it like?
She shakes like a leaf.
It wasn't intimidating. I grew up in a big family, 9 children, same 2 parents. And I don't know, I guess, I don't know what conditioned me. My dad was a very powerful guy, very successful attorney. And he just always, both of my parents raised us to be very strong and confident, independent. I always believed I could do anything or be anything or have anything. And, I loved learning from the time I was really little. So I did well in school. And so I wasn't intimidated by learning anything new. I mean, very shortly after we started dating even,
because you've been doing miracles for people, but I bet your stage is now so much bigger. And I feel like you need to step into like a more elevated version of yourself, and he needs to step into a bigger version of himself to contain the bigness of you in this life that was all about him, pretty much.
Yeah, you know what? That's really intuitive of you, Orion, because there is that, because I think he finally kind of met his match, because I wasn't.
Yes, I did.
I wasn't intimidated by him, and I think a lot of like what he was divorced for 3 years. I think a lot of women are like, "Whoa," but for me, I'm just like, I'm just real, and so I look at. I was checking kind of the same way.
She's just so cute.
I love people, and so and it was a little bit I think the big difference was Mark was so in the like I'm very comfortable like being with I performed as a kid. I did a lot of dancing and singing. I'd also done some modeling, so I wasn't afraid of any of that. But Mark was on stage so much and so often, there'd be like someone who wanted to interview him or something. And he'd all of a sudden go, here, interview Crystal too. And I'm like, whoa, no, don't do that. I'm not ready. And so I think I did. I had to step it up in terms of like being ready. Like I need to define what I'm going to say to the world that I'm doing and be ready to share it. I had to be more ready to share. And so that was a step up. For sure.
I'd like to go back to your intuitive question as Crystal noticed that you're holding up intuition brilliantly today. Is it this morning? When we're falling in love, we sit next to this old man of the cloth. He was 92 and he said, for 72 years, I've been running Billy Graham Relation Ministry. Do you want to know what will keep you indefatigably in love? And I thought, well, that was a setup question if I ever heard one. Yes, sir. Tell us. He said, you got to pray out loud each and every day together. And both of us have prayed in church, at eulogies, at funerals, all kinds of stuff, but never spousally.
Yeah.
And so now this morning and every morning we wake up and we do a prayer and meditation and visualization of what we want that day and what we want in our life and what we want in our business and what we want for our kids. And we got 5 kids in our blended family and 6 in our some phenomenal grandkids that we want magic for. Anyhow, but today what we said is that we've got to elevate some of because we believe the spiritual world runs the mental, which runs the physical, which runs your results. Now, some of your viewers and listeners may go, I didn't believe that. I believe there's no such thing. Well, that's their problem. That's not my problem. If you're in tune with the infinite, like I said, gets in tune with you, and then you go out and do stuff. Like in my case, we sold 1 billion books. In our case, we believe we're going to have a magic movie. It's hers, but I get to have my name because I fell in love with her. So lucky me, right? But we got a lot of other stuff that we're doing because we're involved in so many charities, and we're here to see not how little a difference we can make in life, but how maximally elevate we can make our difference. And we push the edge of our own envelope, and you say, well, you're 73. Well, I'm going to live to be 127 with options for renewal. I'm going to be a kick-ass 100-year-old as healthy as I am today. So there you go.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, I'm very much into biohacking. Dan Sullivan, I think, is predicting, or maybe it's Dave Asprey, one of them, predicting to be 180.
157, and then his student, right, yeah. Peter Demandis, who's also a friend. Both those guys are like that. So we know him very well.
There's no reason.
And he wants to live to be 700. You're right.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, you raise the bar, then why not?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely do that. I'll do that too, probably.
Okay.
Okay, that's incredible. Can we talk about your new book, Ask? What do we ask? Do we ask ourselves, the people around us, the creator? What is it about?
Yeah, so we actually say there are 3 channels through which we all need to learn to ask. And those are ask yourself, ask others, and ask God. And each one of those we feel is equally important. And when we looked at, the range of people that we're so privileged to know, because we've traveled so much throughout the world, what we noticed is those people who achieve greater success and those who are having not as much success as they want. One of the biggest differences, the really successful people are also happen to be masterful at asking. They know how to formulate the right questions at the right time in the right way to get a different result, to take them on a new path, to find a solution, an illumination, an understanding that they didn't have before. And it's not a topic that we talk about enough, but it's probably one of the most important skills, if not the most important skills, and we call it an art and science, both, that we should learn to master in this lifetime, because when you learn to be a master asker, you literally can change every single thing about your life.
How do I become one? That's a good question.
Oh, how do you become one?
Myself.
How does she become one? Do you want to answer that?
Well, let me do it 2 levels. First of all, the level that benefits everybody listening quick is they can go to askthebookclub.com online, askthebookclub.com, and they get a free seminar with us so we go deep. Because what happens is every piece of spiritual literature, but in the American economic system, it's Christianity is like 90% of us. So he said, ask and you shall receive, but he never detailed it. So what we do is we detail it. We got to say, look, you got to ask yourself, and when I was bankrupt back in 1974, now it's hard to believe 50 years ago, basically, I asked myself, okay, God, I went to the third one. I said, okay, God, what does he want me to do? And he said, no, what do you want to do? And I thought, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So I said, I want to speak to people that care about things that matter, that would make a life-changing, transformative difference. And he said, okay. So the next morning, I'm in my roommates in Hicksville, Long Island, New York, and I ask them, I say, guys, you know anyone young that's not a Broadway star, not a celebrity, not a lawyer, not a doctor, and somebody young enough I can relate to? And the guy said, here's my ticket. There's a kid maybe 10 years older than you talking out in Hauppauge, Long Island, New York. I went, oh, dang. And now interest rate was at 28%. Nothing was selling. This guy's talking to 500 realtors, and he wows them. He laughs. He's joking. He's making fun with them. But he built up their self-esteem, their self-confidence, their self-realization. I go up to him at the end of the meeting, named Chip Collins, became my best friend. But I asked him, I said, may I take you to lunch so I can learn how to do what you do? He said, look, kid, chance you making is 1 in 1,000. You ain't going to make, go do something real. You don't have to take me to lunch. I said, yes, I do. Just tell me how to do it. I'll make it. And he said, you're not 1 in 1,000. So I take him to lunch. He tells me 4 things to do, but he says, stay out of real estate. I own the 5 boroughs of New York. Nobody can mess with this. And I don't want you, I'm not teaching you how to screw up my business. I said, give me another industry. He said, life insurance. It's a bottomless pit for motivation. You'll never run out. They always need it. 90% turnover. So I said, great. And I built, I did 1,000 talks a year for the first 3 years because I went out and asked and asked and asked. And it just, that's the way you do it. But most people have never been taught the fine art, the science, and cultivated and curated their ability to ask. And what we've done is we said, hey, look, get not 1 copy of the book, get 2, and go over it with whoever your best bud is. It could be your spouse or spouse equivalent, could be your church mate, temple mate, synagogue mate, I don't care who it is, your mastermind partner, your business partner. Go over every question and then write out the answers, and your life will transform. Because we say it's the butterfly effect, where you cannot look at a caterpillar and predict the chrysalis, which we've all been in thanks to COVID-19, and find butterfly. And COVID is here to have people wake up and get out of the harm's way and find out what they're really supposed to do. But the only way you do is ask your heart, soul, mind, and body, what is it I'm supposed to do? And then you do that with another person and say, can we work together to achieve greatness? And there's greatness, there's divinity, there's outstanding talent in everyone. Nobody should die, metaphorically, the song, with their music in them, but or their book in them, or their invention in them, or their business in them, or their podcast in them, or any other ism in them.
Yeah, wow. There's
So there.
so many ways I can take this everything that you said. But before I do, Crystal, do you have any thoughts about the matter?
About what?
About this,
Oh,
the way you asked.
So I think that the interesting thing about asking is, we all are born as these beautiful little uncorrupted children who just are so good at asking for everything. We're at that point in our lives, we haven't
I
been
know I have
corrupted
a
by
toddler.
right? We want to know who, what, when, where, why, how. We drive people crazy, wanting to know everything. And we're also not afraid to ask for more for ourselves. More. I want more. Can I have more? And then, depending on how we were parented and what happened in school years, quit asking so much. I'm tired of hearing from you. Sit down. Don't ask unless you're called on. And then you go to work and you have jobs and, your opinion's not valued. And suddenly, instead of being this like unafraid, unashamed little asker that you were when you came into this world, you're now a full-grown adult, kind of ashamed to not have all the answers. You don't want to let anyone know that, and afraid to ask for anything. Mm-hmm. And it's very sad because it happens to almost everybody in a way. And so what we're saying is it's really important for each of us to recognize that we've all been shut down in some way, and to look at ourselves and figure out in what ways were we shut down, through what experiences, and how to get ourselves back, how to get that asking, that beautiful ability to ask, as shamelessly again. And we talk about that in the book. We talk about the 7 roadblocks to asking. And we can go through some of the roadblocks if you'd like, but they're really important for each of us to recognize what those roadblocks are inside of each of us.
Yeah. I just heard about the term spiritual bypassing, where you just use spirituality to avoid your shadow parts. And avoid everything that you need to heal inside. And I think that the way to the other side is through, if you have fear, you have to actually go deep, experience it. I do hypnotherapy as well, so I totally
Oh,
understand the the depth of our of healing our traumas and some belief systems that we adopted throughout the years. And
yeah.
so when we are embracing those parts of ourselves, I think this is the most spiritual thing you can do. When you help yourself heal and move forward, then you, because a lot of people are just like, oh, let's just connect with the quantum field and angels, and they're just flying high, but we're like a tree. We have to be with our branches in the sky and our roots in the ground. We need both. And in order to be so grounded, I feel like we have to heal those fears. And
Yeah.
asking, behind asking, for many people there's a lot of fear of rejection, fear of
That's right.
whatever. Like you said, a kid was bullied in school because he was asking the wrong question in class, and then for 20, 40, 50, 60, 70 years they're afraid to ask. And I'm sure you came across clients that had this fear. So maybe you can take us through some of those roadblocks and how we can conquer those.
Right. No, I love what you're saying about that spiritual bypass because people are like, "Oh, if I just I stay in my spiritual zone and I think positively and I just don't go to any of those places." But if that is what's sort of lying beneath the surface, I talk about mind excavation in my life transformational work, you can't run away from any part of yourself. And it's not that you want to obsess over those things in the past, but if there are things that you need to look at, then it's just so important to turn around and face them and look deep and start asking those questions, even of yourself. And that's why we say, like, it all kind of starts with asking yourself. And we talk about the holding up the mirror questions in the book, and we have like the self intervention questions because those are so important to get gut honest. And I say it's like it is like a mind excavation. You have to dig beneath the surface because if you try to build your house, build your life, if you try to build a house on a foundation that has a bunch of debris underneath, right? And you just like try to pour a foundation on that. Well, you haven't even tested, like the earth will not compact. It will not be solid and stable for you if it's full of junk and debris. But if you root that all of that junk out, dig it out, get rid of it, bring some fresh dirt in, compact it, and then start building the foundation of your life. That's how we need to think of this, this asking journey. It's like we have to dig deep. So the first roadblock is unworthiness. And I would say, that's just this conditioning from our childhood that we all at some point carry. It's this feeling that we don't even like to tap into or be aware of. It's like that feeling that you're just not enough. You're just not enough in some way, and so many people carry that. And so that's worth looking at and wondering, where did this idea come from? Where did this feeling? When did I first experience it? All of these questions that lead you down that path to opening the closet, and looking deeply in those portals of your mind and saying, wow, was it even true? Was somebody was involved in that interaction that wasn't an expert not on life, they certainly weren't an expert on me. And so do I need to take this forward? And then by looking at it and exposing it, it's like, you're free. And so, unworthiness is a huge one. Doubt is like this gray zone where just like, oh, I doubt it's going to come out. What if I ask? I doubt there's going to be a good, I haven't ever gotten a positive response. So you just live in this like really dull gray zone of your life, doubting that anything's ever going to work out. And it's just a miserable place to be. Naivete is another one. And it's interesting because we don't realize how naive we are. There's a story in the book about, we had this woman, Filipino woman who was lovely when our children were really young. And she would come and make all these amazing dishes from her homeland. And she came one day and she cut up this orange fruit on a plate. And she goes, Crystal, have some of this. And I bit into it. I said, Melda, what is this? This is like the best fruit I've ever tasted. And she goes, it's mango. And I go, mango? How come I've never tasted a mango, right? And I thought, I'm so worldly. I've traveled all through Europe. I've been so many places. You know, I was still, you know, young in my whatever late 20s, and I thought, how did I miss the mangoes? And I go, where did you get these? Thinking she must have imported them from the Philippines. She goes, at the grocery store. And I go, how is it that I've just been walking past the mangoes every time and I go to the grocery store, you know, and like, it's because I'm from Idaho. You know, we grew up with a lot of potatoes, but no mangoes. And so I thought, what else am I missing in life? You know, what people do I just walk past because I think they're not a part of my world, and I just don't even see them because I just am not looking. I'm just naive in my own space, in my own zone. What opportunities am I passing by because I'm not curious enough to wonder? Because wonder and curiosity are a part of the asking journey. If I wonder about things, I'm asking the universe, what is that? What could I learn from this? You know, my curiosity is just one big living question. And so that's what we try to teach people. So naivete is a big roadblock because we're all naive in our own ways, right?
Yeah. There are the things
and
that
then
we
there's, of
know that
course,
we know, the things that we know that we don't know, and the things that we don't know we don't know. So I love that. I love that question of like, what else is there? And how can I
yeah.
tap into the realms of I don't know what I don't know? Like, do you guys believe in asking? So you were asking God, do you believe in angels? Do you believe in intuition? What's your belief system about connecting to what I call the universal Google or higher power and getting answers from that place? Many of us have been through some stressful times in the last couple of years. I know I have, and I am very grateful for my coaches and for the hypnotherapy sessions that I took that helped me, and I want to extend this to you as well. If you want to feel unstuck, break through some limiting beliefs, maybe you want to lose weight or attract the love of your life, maybe you just want to step into your power, then do yourself a favor and book an RTT session with me. RTT stands for Rapid Transformation Therapy, and it is indeed very rapid. Most people get their breakthroughs within 1 to 3 sessions, and then they just step into the person they want to be, and they change their lives, they change their health, they change their identity. I love you, I'm here for you, and I want to help you. And as my podcast listener, you are getting 25% off your first RTT session. Woo-hoo! So go to speakwithorion.com and book a 15-minute call with me, speakwithorion.com, and we'll take it from there. And now back to the show.
Well, first of all, I wrote the foreword to the book, 367 Names for God. So God, universal intelligence, infinite wisdom, doesn't care what you call it. Just know that it's there. And anyone who doesn't understand, it does, the
In the
name
Kabbalah,
is,
they have 72 names of God. So that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Exactly.
I mean, universe is infinite and it's immediate. That's what's amazing to us. We've just done a whole book on that, which won't come out until January probably. But the biggest black minister ever was a dear friend of mine when I went bankrupt in New York, and he taught me how to get rich again and said, look, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He bought it in 1935 when he was a little kid starving to death and said, look, either that's true or it's not true. Now, if it's true, then I got to participate in God. And Jesus said, life is, I've come that you might have life in it more abundantly. So he decided to become abundant and had 26 Rolls Royces, 20 million people here, 20 million in Africa. And so we just finished the book on him called From Wishes to Riches, because he teaches that when they ask Christ, where's God? And he says, heaven is within. And Reverend Eichau said, it's God within that doeth the work under whatever name. It doesn't matter the name. There's an infinite intelligence universe. Spirit is a continuum. And spirit has been forever, and each of us, we happen to be listening to Neil Donald Walsh right now, and that's continuous. And all the people who've died, gone to the other side, and then come back, which is now over 20,000 recorded people at Duke University, all of them went to the other side, came back, and God said, you're not really supposed to be here yet, so adios, sayonara. I know you've been dead on the bed for an hour and a half back in that hospital, but we're going to infuse you back into life, and poof, They come back into life, and every one of them says, holy cow, I didn't do my assignment. Because we believe when you learn to ask, you were coded at birth, at DNA and RNA, with an assignment. Now, my assignment...
Destiny.
What?
Destiny.
Yeah, destiny. What did I say? An assignment. Yeah, an assignment that's your destiny, right? Your destiny code. And I believe my destiny is to be a great and inspiring writer, teacher, speaker, life transformer, and business coach to great amounts of people. And obviously we've sold 374 million books in China. And while we don't agree with the CCP, we love the Chinese people, and we're thankful that they love our books, all of them.
Wow. So how do you manifest miracles? How do you connect that power to ask what you want? I mean, so Esther Abraham Hicks, they have the book Ask and It Is Given. And it's about the law of attraction and how you work with the law of attraction to get what you want. What's your take on that, on manifesting? Obviously, there is the take a lot of action part.
Yeah.
And not,
well, I think it's...
Yes, keep going.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to go ahead, Orion. What? I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, I just said, like, obviously there is the part of taking a lot of action along with the law of attraction and the connection and asking for what you want. What is your idea around that, about manifesting miracles?
It's such a good question, because people are like, well, I've tried the law of attraction. I sat there and said, I want this, I want this, I want this, and it's a little more than that, because it is about asking. But in the asking process, you need to, so what we really are in this universe is a magnet to what we're getting. So the first thing we need to do is look around our life and say, do I like what I'm getting? Because this is the program I'm putting out. Whatever is happening in your life, you can be sure that to a very large degree, I mean, there are other players in your life, but to the greatest degree, that how you're experiencing your life is what you're magnetizing back to yourself. So the greater question is, what do I want? What do I really want? But how do I become that? How do I magnetize that which I want back to myself, right? And that's why we say, when you ask, like, there are 3 phases to asking yourself, like, where am I right now? Do I really like what's going on? Is this what I want? Is this what I plan to have? Or is it something different? And then really that's the first phase, like really figuring out where you are now, because you can't really figure out where you are going unless you know where you are now. And then the second phase is, where do I want to be? Right? Where do I really want to be? But really not thinking with limitation when you go to that place. Think with your imagination. Think with the highest degree of your imagination, the nth degree of, where do I want to be? Who do I want to be? And then imagine yourself in your life on the stage of your mind, stage of your imagination, what that looks like and what it feels like and what it is like, and really live in that place in your imagination, because there's a reason God gave us imagination. We're the only animal that has imagination. We're the only animal on this earth that has the ability to imagine things into existence. And if you think about it, every single beautiful, amazing thing, invention, anything that's ever been thought of on this earth, everything we use, everything we enjoy, came from someone's imagination, just like you, someone like you, and so that's the beauty of imagination. So if you can create like that, you can create anything. You can certainly create your own life the way you want it. You just need to spend more deliberate time asking those questions, but asking from your greatest vision of what you really want it to be, the nth degree, like, and in this greatest relationship that I'm living, that I'm asking for, what are we doing? How are we treating each other? How do we interact with each other? What does that relationship look like, sound like, feel like? What do I enjoy about that? And I have to have a clear idea of how that's living out before it actually is going to play out in my life. And same thing with career, it's all the same thing. You've got to really imagine yourself as that person doing those things. And then in that way, you start to become the magnet. Now it's you're very active in your creation. You have to become active. And then the final phase is like, what specific action steps do I need to take? Because this is a physical reality. As you start to ask these questions of yourself, answers will come to you. I promise you they will. And you'll get an idea, or you'll get an intuition like, maybe I should go to that place tonight. Don't shut those intuitions down. Maybe that is the place you're supposed to go to meet that amazing person you're supposed to be with. Or, when you think of that person, you're trying to put a business plan together or get something to happen, and you suddenly think of this person out of the blue. Call them, pick up the phone, take action, reach out, do something. Because, moving your plan into action one step at a time is a necessary thing in this life.
So if I may add to what you said, so we're saying miracles, that was the first part of your question. I don't know that we fully answered, but you got to live in the assumption of the wish fulfilled. I'm bankrupt, I'm upside down, I have no connections, I have no ability, I have no natural training yet, and I decided I'm going to be a great professional speaker and found the right guy almost instantaneously. Then they said, man, gosh, you're the best storyteller I've ever heard. Back to the law of attraction, that you're a magnet that Krista was talking about. Do you have that in a book? I got to take it to my wife, my boss, my employer, my company, whatever. So I did the first book, and that next year I sold 20,000 copies at $10 each, made $200,000. Now today's dollars multiplied out because of crazy ass inflation, that's $2 million. So like I'm 26 again and I'm rich, and I got a brand new Chrysler Cordoba car with Corinthian leather. Now when I'm out without a wife and say, I'll never have another one of those, boy, I don't want that twice. So I wrote down the impossible 267 ideal goals. I put it in my 20th anniversary issue of Chicken Soup for this whole book, and it's called My Love Story. And she had to show up because I was reading it every day, and what you got to implode into your mind, brand it into your brain, etch in the fabric of your being if you want miracle to come out. But it's got to be an idea that you take so much that you get rid of all the noise in the world. You forget the news, you forget what your friend said, you forget what your kid said, you forget what you were saying, all the people that put you down, depressed you, and junk that you bought into. And I said, look, if that woman exists, there's 8 billion people on the planet, there's 4 billion women, and whatever the age is that I had put that was appropriate, she would fit all the categories, and she was 267 out of 267. That's why I say you never cross out your goals, because all of us have pulsating waves in our life. But it comes back to what she's saying. When you make yourself a magnet, you have miracles. Our life is a miracle. The book is a miracle. It's selling miraculously because people are getting results, just like Chicken Soup. It's called hand-long value in the book business. It said, have you read Chicken Soup? And now everyone's saying, like, she was just at your beauty salon. I better let you tell the story. What happened?
No, it's just fun. It's always fun when you're just in a random place and some woman, one of the other stylists, leaves her booth or her section. She comes over. She's like, oh, aren't you the author of Ask?
Oh my goodness. Nice.
Yeah. And I was like, yes. And she's like, I love that book so much. It changed my life so much. And that's really the gold. I mean, that's the gold for us, is like when you change someone's life, with ideas and words and that kind of sharing, it's just really a magical thing.
And one more thing, Orion, you said that you've got a toddler at home, and congratulations. We think having a lot of kids is one of the most wonderful things.
That was a big manifestation. Yeah.
Yeah, big manifestation.
That was
and it only took 9 months.
Yeah, no, the doctors gave me 5% chance to conceive. I had to do a lot of work around that and co-create with the divine.
See?
Yeah.
What a miracle. Miracles happen every day. You were asking about miracles. Absolutely. That's the thing. I think we've all had many miracles, but we fail to see them sometimes. We just kind of go, oh, okay, that was lucky, that happened. No, it's a miracle that you manifested.
So we own a energy device making company in Hawaii called naturalpowerconcepts.com. The Leonardo da Vinci makes pop-up windmills called Wind Charger. We got the coolest stuff ever to really solve the energy problem. And energy's got to be solved fairly quickly in the world because we got a lot of faceless bureaucrats that don't understand anything. But anyhow, we're in Hawaii and we're on the beach and we get a call on our little cell phone, and it says from like a Dick Tracy watch. Our little grandson was 6 years old and has a Dick Tracy watch, and it said it was the Gizmo. Yeah. And there's only one guy with a Gizmo that we know, our 6-year-old at the time. And he said, Grampy, can I talk to you? I said, yeah. He said, are you alone? I said, I know, I'm with Mimi and we're on the beach. There's only probably 10,000 people on the beach here in Oahu, but what do you want? You can call us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We've told you that again and again. We'll never stop telling you. He said, "You still writing all those great books like Chicken Soup?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Well, is Mimi listening?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Can I write that book with you?" I said, "Yes, sir." And the first story we inherited is with our grandson,
that's right.
because he had the courage to ask, because miracles happen when you have the faith of a child, which is what we wrote a whole little chapter on there. And most people get out of faith. They go, "I'm going to live," because your polarity is you're either full of faith or you're asking out of fear. And if you ask out of fear, you shut down your miracles. That's the point.
Yeah, I think
Because
a lot
fear
of
is a
us,
one-way elevator going down.
yeah, I think a lot
Sorry?
of us has spiritual amnesia. Like we know a lot of things, but we tend to forget.
Right.
And sometimes we just need someone to remind us that everything is good, that we
That's
are
right.
connected, that we are guided, that the miracles happen every day. And just, put a mirror to our face and just show us our greatness. Sometimes we need somebody that believes in us a little bit more than we believe in ourselves.
Yep. That's right.
Yeah.
So true. So true, Orion.
We had 15 kids here on Friday, and we were just the bottom line is we were validating all of them as A, they're important, B, they're courageous, C, they could tenfold their confidence and make their dreams and businesses come true and their relationships come true. And we were so excited, and we had dinner here at our house with them. It was just, and we're doing that now on a regular basis. So we're deeply thankful that we get to, be the spiritual gadfly to wake up that energetic system, because everyone's got it inside, but they got to get somebody hold up the mirror and say, "You are really wonderful. You are really competent, and you have the talent. You got what it takes."
Just the reminder, just exactly like you said.
Do you guys put mirrors to each other a lot? I bet you do.
Yeah, we do. I mean, we hold up the mirror for each other. Yes, absolutely.
Her more than me. I need a lot of help. Men are usually called clueless, so.
But it's important. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's not just to improve; it's also to recognize your value and your talents and stuff like that.
Yes. I was overhearing my husband having a conversation the other day, and they were talking about the movie The Matrix, and he said, "It's not a movie, it's a manual." We have so much power that we are often need to tap into, and there are so many illusions that we need to see through in order to manifest and really let our light shine and see our greatness. And when we
So
do that,
true.
like you guys are playing the game on a very high level.
Thank you.
What's
Thank
your
you.
experience with The Matrix? Not the movie.
Well, in terms of the movie,
In terms of creating miracles in your own life.
oh my gosh, no, we live it. I mean, we know everything. We see these miraculous ways that our life has come together in impossible synchronicity. But it's not impossible because we created it, and through our intention and our vision, even the way we met, it's more crazy than that. I mean, we told it briefly, but it's just really, really crazy. We know that God pulled us together at this exact time, this exact place. And each of us had always had this very clear vision of what we wanted a relationship to be like. But we'd both been in these long marriages where there was like this sort of, and it's not to put down our former spouses, but just sort of an emptiness, because it wasn't that person that we felt that we could really, like, we didn't quite get each other, we didn't quite. So there's like almost like a little empty hole. But the way we came together was absolutely impossibly sacred, and it was like God winks, the whole way. So we see it again and again and again in so many parts of our lives. And in fact, in the Fable of Michaela, I write about some of the crazy things that have happened to me, because I happen to have these sort of these dreams. I've always had these amazing dreams in my life that have guided me. And so I took some of, when I read the Fable of Michaela, it's Michaela's world. So the details are a little different, but the dreams are very similar to actual dreams that I've had. So I absolutely know that, and there are so many things I haven't written about, but that our bodies don't just stay anchored just to our spirit. Our light body is actually very mobile in some ways, so we're very connected to everything that is. And so when we focus on things with our heart and with a pureness of thought and mind, heart and mind, it's amazing the things that can happen, the things that can come through. We really have access to everything we want. We have access to all of history, all wisdom, all knowledge, and people, I think, are going to start to realize that more than ever. Like, it's not just going to come from books you read and things. As you start to open up more to universal wisdom, it's all there for you right now. And so the more you trust it, and you have to spend time with yourself, though. That's the key. We live in a really noisy world, and I think it's sort of been intentionally distracting, because if you can distract people enough, you sort of minimize their power,
So
because
true.
when people, right?
Yes.
Because so you control
That's
where they're
what happened in
looking.
the last couple of years.
It's exactly, you control what everyone's looking at, make a lot of noise, keep their, learn everything they want, all their likes, so that you can just throw things in front of their face and distract them. And what it's really doing is keeping us from going into that deeper part of ourselves, like the scripture, be still and know that I am God. I am God, the I am. It's, God is part of you. I am. And you find that in the stillness, and so why, if you say, like, if you wanted to control society and program society to operate the way you wanted it, so there are a few powerful and the rest of us are controlled, just keep them constantly dings and notifications and pings and right.
So let me go ask her. I agree with everything she said, and then let me go back. We said ask yourself, ask others, ask God. I just want to hit on that, ask God. So I'm bankrupt upside down. I'm starting a speaking business, but I need to make $100,000 a year. That'd be the first minimum, and then add a zero, and that's instead of 400 a day, 250 work days. That's $100,000. Add a zero, 4,250 work days is $1 million, which I learned how to do. But I learned this principle of asking, and you do it 400 times before you go to sleep. And then I wanted $400, $400. I'm going to earn 400, 400, 400, 400, 400, 400. And then you fall yourself to sleep, and your subconscious never sleeps. So it goes out in the universe. Like she said, your mind is a broadcasting receiving station. 2:59 in the morning, I wake up, and I knew the law. The law said, I said, figure out what you want and write down. Well, first of all, it said Bill Widener, so I wrote that down. Never heard of the guy, never saw him, didn't know it. And then it said State Mutual, which is an insurance company I'd never heard of. It was never in any zone that I've got. But I know the law is the law. If you want something and you tell yourself what you want before you go to sleep, God in you will answer, but you've got to put it in writing. So next day at lunchtime,
Thank you for
I'm
that. That's
at
amazing.
this building called Metropolitan Life Insurance, which is the biggest company and a big client of mine. And I raised them 10%. So they made me a lot of money. I made them even more. So I go in, and it says on the front, a marquee, because insurance companies are by insurance companies, just like fast foods buy fast food. Taco Bell's next to McDonald's, next to Hardee's. I don't know. Anyhow, it says Bill Widener, State Mutual. And I go, holy cow. And I had the note in my little suit pocket, and I pulled out and go, Bill Widener, State Mutual, that's incredible. God, you really know what you're doing here, pal. Nobody's at the front desk. I go straight to what I perceive as his office, knock at the door. He says, come in. Now, he assumes he's going to hire me to sell insurance. And in 5 minutes, he had wrote me a check for $400 buying my seminar package. He said, I didn't care if you ever came back. You were so happy. You uprated my spirit and all that. And we became great friends. He got me to train his whole company, as it turned out. And I trained literally around the world. It's a big company and invisible to me at that time. But the point is, you can't know. What she said is you have attachment to all wisdom, and it's not Google. It's inside you.
Right.
And you've got a spirit body that is light. I mean, thanks to Curlian, we now can take pictures of how much spiritual work somebody's done and how much auric energy they have. What she said, their light body. And that's why I said the high form of my hierarchy is spiritual realization. If you're working on yourself and doing the prayer and meditation, you're going to become a higher person. You'll just walk in and your presence will get there before you do, and the business is yours. It's miraculous.
Wow. Can you see auras and light bodies? Or can you sense
One of my
them?
authors can. We were just with a lady who did chicken soup with this whole cookbook, and her husband would see the three of us working and saw all the colors dancing in between us. That's not my shtick. There's 7 basic prophetic things. She's got prophetic dreaming as one of hers, which she just told you. She wrote
And
prophetic
intuition.
dreams and intuition
I have a lot of
into
intuition,
Michaela.
yeah.
Nice.
I can tell you where a business is going to go, and I can show how to tenfold any business. That's why I get hired as a consultant and a speaker,
amazing.
because people come in and say, I'm going to sit with you at lunch or breakfast before you talk and just tell me what we got to do this business. And I tell them, and just about always it works, because I know before I get there what they're going to ask me, and I can pretty much go, if you go this way, it's wrong. If you go this way, it's right. And businesses do miraculous amounts of business.
Nice. Wow, you guys are so brilliant. I wish I had more time with you, but I have to be respectful of your time. Before we say goodbye for now, and thank you for everything that you shared. It was amazing and awesome, and I have so many more questions. Um, where can people find you, and what are your 3 top tips to living a stellar life?
So people can find us obviously on social media. I'm at Crystal Dwyer Hansen, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn,
YouTube.
Twitter, YouTube. And then of course Mark Victor Hansen, all of the above. And then my website is crystalvisionlife.com. He's markvictorhansen.com, of course. And then our book, probably best place to get it is Amazon, right? It's there in every form, Audible, Kindle. And then don't forget, when you get the book, go to askthebookclub.com so you can get an invitation to the free webinar. So, because we'd love to have you join us for the free webinar.
We want to help you become a master asker, because if people learn to ask, back to what you said, they elevate, they ascend, they accelerate, they exponentially go, grow, and glow. And everybody is supposed to let their little light shine, so to speak.
What are your 3 top tips to live in a stellar life?
The 3 top tips is, for me, remember, stop looking around outside of yourself to get your cues on what to do with your life. This is just, what you're looking at has already happened. It's already passed. And it can help you define what you do and don't want. But the place to go is go deeply inside yourself and take the time every single day in silence, to ask yourself these important questions that will help you refine and define exactly where your life is going. Those are the most important tips I can give you.
And you got to figure out what you want, put it in writing, visualize to realize it, and get a team member to get your dream together. You got to get your team together.
Got it. Any final words for the listeners?
Just remember that today's a brand new day, and you can start a brand new life right now, today.
And
you just need to make a decision.
Sorry, honey. And the size of your question determines the size of your result. So when I asked how do I make 100 grand, I made 100. When I asked how to make $1 million, I made $1 million. And I've done more than that since then. But you get to do whatever you want. Most people ask too little. That's why we don't know of a better book or another book that'll do what this one does, and that's why it's a stellar bestseller.
I love it. Crystal and Mark, thank you so much. It was such an honor and a pleasure. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here. You're awesome. Appreciate you.
You are wonderful. Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. And thank you, listeners. Remember to look inside every day and ask the right questions, because you will get the best answers, because the best answers are inside of you. You are connected. Visualize your dream and have a stellar life. This is Orion. Till next time.